Welcome to the Rocking Horse Dreams. Today we're going to take a look at A Week in Hell, a solitaire wargame about the battle for the city of Hue, Vietnam, January 31st through February 6th, 1968. It was designed by Laurent Guenette and published by Battles magazine. Inside the baggie you get rules, a gorgeous 11x17 map, and a half sheet of very high quality counters. The counters represent platoons of the 1st of the 1st and 2nd of the 5th Marine Companies, NVA soldiers, and miscellaneous status and tracking markers. Some platoons have a green side and a veteran side. The map is broken down by zones. Each zone has a value and a color assigned to it. Yellow zones are neutral, green friendly in the historical scenario, white and red are enemy zones, with red zones being victory points, 1 point per zone. The value of the zone is its resistance to attack. The object of the game is to clear zones, capturing all victory point zones south of the Perfume River before the end of the week. To set up the game, put the MACV CP and the platoon in the MACV compound. Put the reinforcements on their spaces according to the rules, with the first reinforcements group on the available reinforcements space. Put the NVA markers in an opaque container. Put the VP and DP markers near their tracks. Put the turn and phase markers on the ones on their tracks. Play is now ready to begin. Turns are broken down into phases, with each phase broken down as such. First, for phases 7 through 9, test for night. Then orders are given to available troops. Zones are cleared. Orders are carried out in movement or attacking, then reinforcements come on. Last, advance the phase marker and begin a new phase. Let's dig into those a little deeper. We'll get into night in a bit, but to do the check, a die is rolled. If it is equal to or greater than the number printed on the phase box, this phase is the last daylight phase. To order units, simply place that unit's command marker in one of the available spaces on one of the commanders. Only companies with a platoon on the board may be commanded, and only commanders on the board may command. If a company has a commander on the board, only that commander may command that company. Next, any companies with their marker in the clear zones box perform zone clearing. To perform the clearing, you roll a die. The result must be higher than the number of the zone. There's a +1 die roll modifier for having 2 units in a zone, +2 for having 3. If the roll is higher than the zone's number, it is cleared. If not, the platoons stay in place to be cleared on the next turn. If it is cleared, that company's command marker is put in the waiting for orders box and the zone is marked as US controlled. Next, units carry out orders. During this phase, commanders can move up to 3 spaces if they were marked as moving, or they can command companies. Each platoon that is commanded can move up to 3 spaces or attack. Platoons attack adjacent spaces from their space. More than one platoon from a company can attack together. Mark one platoon as the assault platoon, one as the support, and if there's a third, mark it as reserve. Draw an NVA chit and place it in the zone. A die is rolled for each side and the CRT is consulted. If doubles are rolled, a third die is rolled. Add the 3 dice together and consult the event table. Hits are applied, and if the NVA chit is not defeated, another round of combat takes place. Combat continues until the NVA is defeated or the US troops retreat. If the NVA chit is defeated, flip it over with the end fight facing you. The platoons are put in the attack zone and their company's marker is put in the clearing zones box. Next is the reinforcements phase. If there are new units available, put them in the available units box. If the landing zone in F has been secured, check to see if the chopper is available. If desired, put units in a convoy and check to see if that convoy moves. Lastly, if there are units available, you can transport them via helicopter by passing another die roll. Troops transported by helicopter land in the LZ and have to report to the MACV before being commanded. If, on phases 7 through 9, a night check failed, or automatically on turn 10, night falls. First, platoons or CPs in a neutral zone, in a zone being cleared, or north of the Perfume River, are put in the closest controlled zone. Then, any controlled zones not occupied by a platoon that can trace a line to one of the red arrows on the south and west edges of the board are subject to infiltration. To check this, draw an NVA chit, roll a die. If the die is lower than the NVA value, the zone is infiltrated and the control marker is removed. If this causes more zones to be able to trace a line to a red arrow, check them. Next, check for zones that can't trace lines to friendly zones for both sides. If such zones exist, mark them as isolated. Now update how many victory point spaces are US controlled on the VP track. Add 1 to the defeat point track for each red hit marker on the board. Then all green and yellow hit markers are removed. For each red marker, roll a die. On a 1 to 4, the marker is removed. Any green units with any hit marker removed are flipped to their veteran side. Lastly, any end fight or NVA markers left on the board at this point are returned to the stockpile. Now advance the turn marker and play another turn. If the turn completed was turn 7, check for victory or defeat. If the player has more defeat points than victory points or doesn't control all the VP zones south of the river, it is a defeat. Otherwise, add or subtract modifiers per the scenario for a total or marginal victory or a draw. And that is A Week in Hell. This is my favorite solitaire game. It's about a subject I really care about. The mechanisms are smooth and make for tough decisions. You really get invested in the platoons and hate to see them take any losses. The production value is amazing and there's a ton of replayability. It may be too dicey for some people, but it strikes the perfect balance for me.